Hello, I'm John Cleese. The great world religions all include teachings on the nature of forgiveness. And in the scientific world, one recent study showed that people who were generally more neurotic, angry, and hostile in life were less likely to forgive someone even after many years. Other studies show that people who forgive are happier and healthier than those who hold resentments. Now, you're about to see an extraordinary program, a studio conversation that you may never forget. So, settle back, take a deep breath, as we join our trusted guide and host, Phil Cousineau, on a most memorable episode of Global Spirit, the first internal travel series.
Lately, I've been thinking a lot about forgiveness and about the inability to forgive, which causes such great suffering over many years. Forgiveness can be one of the most challenging obstacles to living a life of peace for individuals and for entire societies.
Okay, over to second.
Since I coach a neighborhood baseball team, I know forgiveness is also a big issue on the field. I've discussed with my son Jack and all the kids on the team that it's important to learn how to forgive somebody who has hurt you, even when it's difficult or painful. We've talked about how in sports, as well in the rest of life, we all get bruised in different ways, and that it's very important to learn how to forgive and how to heal oneself. I've become deeply moved by the story of Azim Khamisa, who was an international banker until his 20-year-old son Tariq was shot in the back by a 13-year-old gang member. Azim's response to the murder had heroic and profoundly spiritual dimensions. He reached out to the grandfather of his son's killer and proposed that together they start a foundation designed to prevent kids from killing other kids. Later, I read a compelling book about the impact of war on the human soul, written by a psychiatrist named Ed Tick. Ed and his wife Kate Dahlstedt have been leading groups of Vietnam vets who've never been able to forgive themselves for what they did during the Vietnam War back to the actual places where they fought, where they killed, and where their souls became disconnected almost 40 years ago. Welcome to Global Spirit's Forgiveness and Healing. Ed and Kate, what is it that you're looking for? What do you hope to accomplish by taking them back to the site of all that violence?
We travel to Vietnam to practice and participate in numerous forms of healing activities. And in these groups, our veterans enter into a common brotherhood and sisterhood of people who have survived their time in hell together. And it is that experience of descending into hell, into the underworld, and surviving it and recognizing, saluting, forgiving each other that brings so much peace and healing and allows them internally to lay down their emotional and spiritual weapons. We have 5 veterans on this journey. Terry is the highest ranking officer among them. Terry was an Army infantry captain in the Central Highlands. He was in some of the most monstrous fighting that's been reported from the Vietnam War. And as an infantry captain, he was in charge of an entire company.
We got sent into the NBA strongholds to get them into a fight, you know, so we could clobber them with the air and artillery. So we were just the bait, you know.
Mm-hmm. 3/4 of Terry's men were either killed or wounded. And Terry, as their officer, feels responsible for them all.
I lost all my lieutenants, all my platoon leaders, 4 of them, killed or wounded in 7 days in early November '67.
Terry's been stuck in chronic grief and has not been able to accept his own human limitations, that he really did all that was humanly possible under battlefield conditions to get his men through.
The only way to stay alive was to do what you do when you're at war, is to kill.
We used to sing in the morning, you know, the Jody songs, you know. Kill, kill, rape and pillage. F the women, burn the village. We are Rangers, one and all. We are Rangers, big and tall. Woo, baby. Yep, that's how we trained.
So for him, this trip was to let go of that trained killer persona and self-forgiveness for him. He had been working on it with psychotherapists prior to being admitted into a treatment program. However, he really didn't know how he could ever fully be forgiven.
Of all the things, the choices I made, I have real problems accepting that I did this. How can I be? God.
Bob is a Marine Corps veteran. He was a helicopter door gunner in Da Nang, off Marble Mountain. His stories have been locked up. He keeps telling us, there's so much about me you don't know. You have no idea what I did. What I did is unforgivable.
I used to serve on the right-hand side of that bird. We did a lot of extractions and intrusions, and we did lots and lots of medvacs. Used to make crazy bets how many water buffalo we can get. If you ever hit one, they do splat quite a bit. We didn't think about it, we just did it, we reacted. That's the only way to say it, we reacted. It's like you're standing outside your body, that wasn't you.
Bob's marriage is on the rocks. So a lot is riding on this journey for their marriage as well as for Bob's healing.
I know that this trip will either make or break Bob and I in a marriage. He's not a bad guy, he's a really good guy. He's just not always, he's not available in the way that it'd be nice to have somebody available.
A lot of stuff was to go to my grave that I did over here. I never talked to anybody. I guess I got to get it out.
Michael counts as one of the perennial grunts, an infantryman way out in the front who saw the worst combat under the most horrific conditions. He was in severe firefight his third day in country.
A mortar or an RPG or something had hit the back of my APC. Threw shrapnel on the guys that were on the ground below me, and the one guy that got the open chest tube, I never knew whether he made it or not. They started out calling for a medic, and he said that about 3 or 4 times, and then it was, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy."
The first time I went to the Vietnam Memorial, I fully expected to see my name on that wall. I really did. That's the truth. I just thought I would just confirm the fact that I died and gone to hell.
$9,000.
Michael carries a terrible sense of having wronged the Vietnamese people because the war was wrong. He feels horrible about the war and feels like he needs personal forgiveness and absolution for what he did. Larry was a Marine in Da Nang. Larry has wounds from being black in American society and wounds on top of that from being a Marine during the Vietnam War.
There was a lot going on for us back then, in the 70s, in the 60s, in the civil rights movement, all that. The guys that got drafted, you know. And in all honesty, I didn't get drafted. I enlisted in the Marine Corps. I stood up, man, when they played the national anthem. There's some brothers that didn't, man. What we did going into the city and what have you, we would open up our car doors and knock them off the bikes or kick them. just do some things that was really mean, you know, and unnecessary. And we looked at them as being the lower of low. See, that's the dual part. And again, I'm a person of color. So then why am I treating them like that? That's Brother Mike. I don't know whatever happened to Mike along with Brother Nelson. He was another one. And I remember the night that we got hit too. And that's what I was telling you before, right? And hopefully we can get up there, right? Maybe they still have the bunkers and what have you.
Larry has blocked out many of his memories and feelings about his Vietnam experience, and he wants to go back to the places in Da Nang where he first shut down so that he can reclaim his feelings. He says he's been running from himself ever since he was in service in Vietnam. And now we want to bring Larry full circle so that he goes back to the place he began to run.
I'm struck by the fact there were hundreds of thousands of soldiers who served in Vietnam, and only a handful have gone back. What has impelled these soldiers to go back?
They have tried every conventional means American society offers to find healing. Unfortunately, our mainstream health and mental health professionals believe that there is probably no healing from the wounds of war, but rather there can be readjustment. So these veterans who do go back have the courage to say, I want to heal, I'm looking for something more, I'm willing to face my own inner demons by returning to the places I fought, the people I harmed, and entering into a common humanity with those they previously harmed.
This is not necessarily conscious on their part. It's like they have an intuition about it. They seem to know that they have unfinished business back there because something very potent happened. And for many of them, this is the most potent experience of their lives. And they're drawn back to the place where that happened.
Azim, I'd like to turn back to your story now. At first blush, it seems like the Vietnam saga that's unfolding here is different because it's about the need to heal ourselves and the awful things we may have done in life. Whereas your story is about finding the courage and the fortitude, the spiritual foundation to heal someone else.
2875, repeat the location and stand by.
24 clear, 1B1, stand by.
1285, repeat the location, no one.
1B1, okay, 7. 51, yes, stand by.
13 12 meet 12
Tariq was kind of a magnet. You know, he always had this welcoming, humorous spirit. Still does, as I always say.
Tariq, who was working for DeMille's Pizza at the time, shows up with 2 pizzas. He knocks on several doors looking for the address. The address doesn't exist. And so in frustration, he walks back to his Volkswagen Squareback, is about to put the pizzas away when Tony and Antoine Pittman walk across the street. Tony brandishes the 9mm, says, "Give up the pizza." Tariq looks at Tony, gets in his car, and starts the car. Antoine Pittman says, "Bust him, Bone." Tony pulls out the gun, shoots, and the gun fires, hits Tariq in the chest, and gets his heart, and basically he bleeds out at the scene.
He died on January 21st, and March 6th would have been his 21st birthday, which was a pretty tough day. It's a big birthday, the 21st, and we had big plans. Of course, it never happened.
Tony was born to my daughter, who was 15 when she had Tony. For most of his child life, he was taken care of by principal adults other than his biological mom and dad, because they were teenage kids and really didn't know how to be parents. So Tony by virtue of that, experienced a lot of frustration and anger throughout his childhood. And at the point that we all determined it would be best for him to come and live with me in San Diego, the cause for anger in Tony really developed full-blown because he had witnessed one of his favorite cousins being murdered at the hands of a rival gang. So that anger really was a central quality in his life throughout his childhood, and certainly into his teenage years, the anger just really, really developed.
On January 21st, 1995, I shot and killed Tariq Khamisa, a person I didn't even know and who didn't do anything wrong to me. I wish I didn't have the type of life I had. I wish I had a relationship with my father. I think about the warnings that my grandfather gave me. Now I wish I had listened to my grandfather. I'm sorry for killing Tariq and hurting his family. I'm sorry for the pain that I caused for Tariq's father, Mr. Khamisa. I pray to God every day that Mr. Khamisa will forgive me for what I've done. My grandfather promised me that he would be Mr. Khamisa's friend and help him in any way he can for the rest of his life. I'm very sorry for what I've done. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak.
Tony took responsibility for what he did. He indicated he really didn't want to hurt anybody. Don't know why he did. He asked the forgiveness of the Khamisa family, and Mr. Khamisa specifically. He indicated, based on our conversation, that I had told him that I would do all I could to support the Khamisa family and be Mr. Khamisa's friend for as long as I live, to support him and his family with their grief.
I looked deep into his eyes and saw a soul just like mine. And there was this connection.
And as we were introduced, our eyes locked. And I think that we both saw in each other a deep desire and willingness to do some healing, a need to do some healing.
Told him that I came to see him in the spirit of forgiveness and not retribution or revenge, that both he and I had lost a son that night. Tariq died and Tony went to prison for life.
And I immediately expressed my condolences and sympathies and expressed to him my willingness to help him and his family any way I could. And he said, I want to start a foundation to stop children from killing children. Will you help me?
Now you have to understand something, because I don't believe that any of you have witnessed this before. Understand, this man, his grandson, murdered this man's son. This man, his grandson, murdered this man's son. And today they sit in front of you in the spirit of compassion and forgiveness.
How many here have lost family members as a result of violence? Let's see. So many of you. And you know what I'm talking about. That we need to realize that being violent impacts so many people.
Did Tony have a right to shoot and kill an innocent person working his way through school? No, he didn't have a right to do that. So for those of you who might be thinking that all Tariq had to do was give up the pieces and he wouldn't have got shot, you're trying to blame Tariq for Tony's choice. You can never fix your mind to blame the victim for a crime committed against them by an offender who made the choice to harm them. Don't you ever fix your mind to blame the victim for being a victim. Put the responsibility where it belongs. Now, who's responsible for the death of Tariq Khamisa? Let me hear you say it loud and clear. Who's responsible? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So if you make a choice that's violent, you can't say he or she made me do it. You made the choice because you made the choice, and you have to live the consequence. So let's make the right choice.
So, Azim, this is a heart-rending, but we have to believe ultimately a redemptive story. And I think what fascinates so many of us is where you found the courage not to seek revenge. Was it in the faith that you grew up in?
Yes, I think, Tariq died at 20, 6 weeks before his 21st birthday. And I often ask God, why did you take him at 20? He was such an important part of my family. That's almost an adult. And what saw me through this tragedy was a strong spiritual foundation. I talked a lot about souls. And what I teach today is that in life you get problems that your heads cannot solve. In life you get problems that your hearts cannot heal. It's kind of what you talked about Vietnam. But I've also learned that there are no problems. There are no problems that your soul cannot solve or heal. But you have to have a strong spiritual foundation. And I was lucky. My dad was a businessman and my mom was a very special person, and I met a friend of hers that started me to meditate when I was 20 years old, the age Tariq died. And I did an hour a day, now I do 2 hours a day. But I wouldn't be sitting in front of you if I did not have that strong spiritual foundation.
Azim, you've written very powerfully that revenge is a force that leads to endless violence. There are wider effects, wider repercussions than we ever dream of in that moment of violence. Can you help us understand this?
We've tried the eye for an eye strategy for 2,000 years. You'd think we'd learn. You look at the response to 9/11. Is the world safer today as a result of our response? The whole world lost people in the World Trade Center. Surely we lost more. I understand that. It could have been a unifying moment. So there is no fulfillment living down in anger and resentment and revenge and greed and avarice and jealousy. These are low vibratory emotions. We have to lift the humankind up, which is what the greatest teachers have taught us, including Lord Jesus Christ, right? They're nailing him to the cross. He says, Father, forgive them. They do not know what they do. Pick any deity or Gandhi or MLK. That the only salvation is to live at these higher vibratory emotions of friendship, of goodwill, of trust, of forgiveness, of empathy, of love, of unity. That's where we have to go. If we don't, the human race will definitely perish.
Do you remember Martin Luther King said the only way for us to encounter the force of violence is through the force of the soul? And so we're seeing two souls do this. You think of all the people who are out there alone trying to forgive themselves. What is it like to go there shoulder to shoulder with Plez?
There has been a tremendous amount of growth in both of us. That both of us are very different people. I've coined this word, cellular, okay? It's a play on the word cell and soul, right? Because the building blocks of the endocrine system is the cells. But what I suggest that cellular shifts are deeper than cellular shifts. And you're looking at that in your work.
Yes.
When you shift at that cellular level, which Plez and I have, and Tony too, because I reached out to him and met him 5 years later, you see him at 14. Today he's 27, he comes across as a monk. And you say, what happened to this kid? But the big piece here is not only did I forgive Tony, I told him, when you come out, you have a job at the Tariq Khamisa Foundation. Think about that. Think about him on stage with his grandfather and me. I say, okay, who's the culprit here? Is it Tony, who took my son's life at the age of 14 to prove himself to the gang? Or is it a young African-American boy that was forced by societal forces to join a gang and then kill my son to prove himself to the gang? If you fix that, you can improve society. You say, hanging from the highest pole, he took my one and only son. How does that improve society? So what happened to Tony is when I met him and offered him this job, I think I gave him space to redeem himself. And redemption is a very big piece of this story, as it is of Vietnam, that they are going back to give back and connect.
So does this strike a chord in you, Ed, to hear about this note of redemption?
The survivors of both the giving and receiving of violence are searching for redemption. People must feel what they did, and they must go through times of terrible pain, anguish, and soul searching. We throw that term around, but it's a real term. Our souls are anguished and are in search of a path of redemption. They don't want to stay in hell, the hell of having destroyed, the hell of having taken life, the hell of feeling oneself as an agent of evil.
You know, I go speak in prisons as well. And my central message and I speak this, these are kids, and I tell them, you made a big mistake. It's okay. We've all made mistakes. But it's important to take responsibility for your mistakes. And sometimes that can take a while. It's not your father's fault, or your uncle's fault, your teacher's fault, or society's fault. The press was very articulate about who murdered Tariq. Take responsibility. Ask for forgiveness of the people you hurt. Now, I forgave Tony 18 months before he asked for my forgiveness, because he thought the pizza delivery man was stupid. He thought his grandfather was stupid. He thought the DA was stupid, but doesn't think that way now, as you can tell. So sometimes it can take a while, because sometimes, you think you've forgiven somebody and you haven't. How do you know? When I think about Tony, my blood pressure doesn't go up.
Yeah.
In fact, I get calmer. Tony has a safe passage through my mind. He's become kind of like my son. He replaced Tariq. Because I have a lot of love for him. I've created a lot of love for him in the foundation. Because I know you can't bring Tariq back. But I do know Tony, when he joins us, will save hundreds of thousands. I mean, we've already reached 8 million kids, so I'm sure we'll reach many more. So the point I'm trying to make is that reach out to the offender. Not just reach out, but reach out with love and compassion. And if you're not getting the response back from the other side, your love and compassion is not of the quality it needs to be. Does that make sense?
That's very helpful. And that's also a wonderful place to make a transition back to Vietnam.
Okay, let's go this way.
Michael became a radio and telephone operator, thinking it was a safer service, but he was alone in a bunker during firefights.
We have one for each platoon, and the one to the battalion commander up front, And so my job was to coordinate all of the artillery and making sure that our artillery didn't fire on our own positions.
His men were dependent on him, yet he was all alone in a bunker on the front line, fighting for his life and with nobody to support or guide him.
They would call in their position to me for me to clear it, and every night it was like, okay, and one night I didn't clear it. And about 15 minutes later, I got a call. We got incoming. It feels like it's coming. I could tell it was our explosion. I went, and then right away, I called the artillery. I quit the next day. I did that job for about 2 months. I just told the CO, I said, I can't do this anymore. Nobody got killed when I was in these radios.
You kept your brothers alive as long as you could function.
As long as I was able.
As long as you were able. And when you were no longer able, you said, I gotta quit, or else somebody's gonna die who shouldn't.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. We seek to understand and share the spiritual wisdom and practices of the Vietnamese people and apply them to our own wounds. And then to immediately, as we open up the pain in our veterans, respond spiritually with the gifts of compassion and acceptance and forgiveness that come from Buddhism.
I've never been to a pagoda, and I never prayed with the Vietnamese. We're reaching out to them, and they're reaching out to us, so we're coming together. So it was different for me. I never did it before when I was here.
Kindness and generosity, the monks and nuns chanted a service called Khao An, which is wishing for peace, and included the names of all of the members of our group.
I had the thought in this prayer that all the time that we were blowing the place up, these humble Buddhists were praying this prayer all over this country. What a contrast.
With all the pain that came up for me, it felt good to fill up this space that was left from that emotional release with some peace.
Của Luân Hào, we believe strongly in circle of life and the karma. So if you do anything in your life and you feel not good about that, you feel sorry about all that, and if you want to redeem it, then the only way is you have to make prayer yourself from your heart. Open your heart and love everyone.
And these people are so beautiful. Basically, their whole thing is, what is there to forgive? So you have to search your own heart and your own mind, you know, and find peace in that. And if you can find peace in that, you're going to be okay.
Mr. Tiger is a former VC, but he is not like any other VC. He fought in 3 different wars.
How old is Mr. Tiger?
Ông hỏi bác Tám năm nay bao nhiêu tuổi rồi?
87.
87. He fought the Japanese in 41, and he fought the French in 45, and he fought the American in 65. Okay, that's his life.
Boom, 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 boom.
Ông này là
Boom, 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 boom. Chiến tranh, rất là sợ chiến tranh.
He said we were very much afraid of war. We were very much afraid of war.
We were afraid.
We were afraid just like they were.
Chiến tranh nó đem đến cái sự đau khổ và chết chóc.
He say he was afraid of war because war brings all the unhappiness and the poverty to people.
Can you ask him a question for me? How can he forgive those who have hurt this country and hurt their people so much?
Đến Việt Nam mà phát triển đầu tư.
There's not necessary to talk about the forgiveness now, because you just did the order given to you. So it was not your own fault. There's no forgiveness necessary because everyone was doing their duty. Now the war is over. We are ready to make friends. No matter they are Americans or French or Japanese or everyone, to make friends and to make peace.
There's something about really meeting another human being and looking into their eyes, and you can see the forgiveness. They're seeing it in the generosity of the people, the sharing of the wine.
Yeah.
It's like confession. And then they're forgiven. It's spiritual. The veterans bring gifts to give to the Vietnamese people because we are aware of the fact that many of them feel as though they took something away. They know that they caused destruction. They know they caused death. They know they did some things that are irreparable. It's the reverse of an eye for an eye. I took something away and now I'm giving it back, and I don't have to carry the burden so much anymore.
See, where are you?
He's back with his family.
Being at the orphanage got us all in touch with the childlike playfulness in ourselves. And at that point in the trip, it was very refreshing.
Oh, I got a long ride.
Chúng tôi đang nuôi dưỡng 30 cháu.
In this family, we take care of 30 children.
And these children had no idea who we were and what might have taken place in the past. They're not connected to that past at all.
Này bé ơi, em đi về đâu? Buddha. Happy Buddha.
And they didn't see the boogeyman. They didn't see somebody who was evil. They didn't see a soldier. They just saw a man. And it rehumanized the vets in the group.
I saw the children, I saw the beauty. I saw my grandchildren. I had none of those feelings. I didn't see them as children when I was here before. I just saw Charlie, baby Charlie. I saw them as what they really are, people living with souls.
It's a very powerful segment, and what occurred to me was here you have soldiers going back to a place they once were 37 years ago, but in a sense they're seeing it for the first time. What was it about their encounter with a religion that they did not familiarize themselves with the first time, that they never took the trouble to understand? What was it in Buddhism that helped the healing?
There are so many things in Buddhism that help the healing, and so many things that we in the Western world need to learn from the Buddhist tradition that could bring us all great benefit. They believe in karma, which helps them accept their losses. Buddhism also teaches, relating to karma, that we can change our karma. So Vietnamese monks in Vietnam tell our veterans, welcome back, and if you feel bad about anything you did, well, you can change your karma. Do something good, something right, something restorative, as Azim said. Practice acts of reconciliation and restoration, and those good acts that will help your heart feel good and will make peace between us also change your karma. You aren't stuck in your suffering, and there are spiritual paths out of suffering. We've heard Vietnamese veterans and others say to our veterans, there's nothing to forgive. You were doing your duty, you were behaving as a good soldier, you were following orders, you were fulfilling your proper karma as a soldier. Unfortunately, the cause was illegitimate, you caused pain and suffering. But it's not my place to forgive you because I see that you are a good person. I never took your humanity away from you. So you have to forgive yourself and see yourself as a worthy human being and do whatever is necessary to restore your humanness to yourself.
Kate, I'd like to ask you your perspective on this. One thing that strikes me in this encounter is that it's face-to-face. And we all know that in military training, you are taught with tremendous exhortation that the enemy doesn't have a face, doesn't have a soul. Right. So being within arm's reach of someone and realizing that they too have a face, a personality, a family, a soul, must have a tremendous amount to do with the breakthrough.
Absolutely. I think you see it in the film with Bob when he says, all I saw was Charlie and baby Charlie. That was the programming that was in his head. And in a way, it's what he had to do to be a good soldier. It's how he kept himself alive and how he kept his buddies alive by not falling into believing that these are human beings that he shouldn't be fighting, and then they might kill him or everybody else. So he had to, as a way of protecting himself, to not see their humanity. And so going back and seeing, really seeing them, it's almost like he was looking in black and white and the first time, and when he went back, he could see it all in color.
There it is, right there, Bob. Marine Corps installation up here. That's where I was at, baby! Yes.
Where are we going to?
I'm going as far as I can.
Larry's caring for a lot of brothers. He's going to the end of the road, and we're walking with him. If that's what it takes, we'll walk forever.
You see that mountain right there? You know where that mountain's at?
The mountain, we see it.
Is this the mountain right here? There was a lot going on sometimes up on the mountain. At nighttime sometimes, right, you can see the trip flares going off. You can hear, right, small arm fire.
Oh, I see.
Okay, and then early in the mornings, right, you will go up in the mornings and what have you, right, what you would see around the concertina wire are blobs of blood or maybe some flesh. That's what Hill 327 brings to me, those memories of some friends of mine.
Men like Larry often don't count themselves as combat veterans because they were not directly and personally involved in the taking of life.
I didn't kill anyone, but I did wound people by my behavior, calling them goots. Okay, Charlie, that's not your name. That's not his name. You know, you are a human being, and I'm a human being, but I didn't act that way. So then, from me to you, you know, and all the Vietnamese people, you know, I do humbly apologize.
Now we are have friendship. You are a friend now,
Yes.
and we're very happy welcome you to Vietnam.
The people are very compassionate, and receiving that from them gives me the peace that I think that I was looking for in terms of what I did. This is going to be in memory, right, of our homies, right, that I was over here with, as well as Bob. This is going to be dedicated to them. Brother Jack, Brother Beemore, Brother Robert, Brother Johnson, Brother Washington, and here's to you, bro. God bless you all. Hill 327, that's where they were at. Peace be unto you.
Some of us came back dead. Some of us came back alive. Some of us came back with a little of each. And that would be me. I had death in me. I had death in me.
Terry needs to fully engage his feelings about the past and invite his heart and his soul to come back to him at the very places where he shut them down and left them behind.
Damn. I can't believe all these bushes are here.
I can wish for nothing more anymore. I've done all I could, you know. And it's up to God now. I just can't do anymore. Can't do anymore.
Try sad, not bad.
I am sad, not bad.
Sad.
I'm sad, not bad. I just had like a little kid idea that I could bring them all back. You know?
Yeah.
A childish idea.
No,
you know?
it was a wonderful idea. It was a wonderful idea.
Very honorable. Very honorable.
Both of you say, more came home because of me.
More came home because of me. Damn, look at his eyes. It's so funny. He knows it and I know it too. I mean, what are we saying this shit for? You know what I mean? I mean, it's so real, you know? You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. More came home.
More came home because what was it?
Of me.
More came home because of me.
Yeah.
Do it again.
More came home because of me. 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 More came home because of me.
I know it. And you came home. You came home.
So I want to say goodbye to what was my identity. My identity in these pathetic little pieces of metal, plastic. Pathetic.
More came home because of you.
Oh my goodness.
Get the meat part. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm back. This is it, man. Look around. This is the real Vietnam. This is what I remember. I'm looking at that water buffalo and it just makes me think of what I used to do to those things.
I'd like to speak with you.
I tested the guns on them every day, every chance I had. Back in 71, 72, I flew over these fields. I took a lot of water buffalo's lives. And for that, I'm sorry, and I will make you think.
Để rồi mình nghĩ trở lại cái tuổi già của mình để có thêm một sức khỏe chút nữa.
In life, everyone has made mistakes. You are not a single person. So he said that please forget about the past. And he said you have to take care of your health and make sure that you enjoy a good health in the rest of your life. But only be in that condition you can help the people poorer than you.
It's beautiful. He sounds like my wife.
That's baby Bobby. Bob, with your money, he bought one buffalo and one baby.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found.
That wasn't me that did that.
And grace my fear.
was so struck by the spontaneous ritual in the Vietnam film where the two soldiers bend down to their knees and they make out of a mud puddle an altar, a shrine. They dip their hands in the water, they put the hands over themselves as if there was something in them compelling to baptize this moment. What was happening there, Kate?
They were purifying themselves, they were purifying the souls of the ones that they were remembering. You know, those were people that had died. And they were, I'm really struck over and over again, every time I see ritual, by how powerful it is, because it's so symbolic. And it gives us something concrete. It's not enough to think in your mind, I forgive so-and-so. The act of actually going and forgiving them really concretizes it, makes it real, gets it inside. It's from here, as you're saying, down into your heart and soul.
Right. Absolutely.
Some of the importance of ritual is seen in traditional cultures that had complex, elaborate, prolonged rituals for returning their warriors to their communities or tribes. They knew that anybody exposed to war and violence was wounded in the soul, and the soul needed to be tended through cleansing and purification, through storytelling, through initiation into warriorhood, through reconciliation and restoration in the tribe before they could return. Tribal cultures all knew that ritual is necessary and the complete initiatory return is necessary, and then their warriors would be more than okay. They would be inspirited, their souls would be full, and they could serve as people who preserve and protect and restore life and actually restrain the society from acting out its violent impulses.
If it's so powerful, why is it so rare in modern society?
I don't know why we have lost ritual. One of the things I loved about Campbell is that he studied ritual. And I'd love to see, maybe we can collaborate here on a book on ritual.
That would be wonderful.
Because I think ritual is very missing in our world.
In light of the tidal wave of soldiers that we have coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan and other remote corners of the world, there seems to be a sense of urgency then in the culture to learn these lessons. Have we learned anything from all the millions of returning soldiers that we can use to help with these young men and women coming back now?
Vietnam veterans are responding in huge numbers to the pain of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans. They are coming out to be mentors, to meet the troops when they come home, to say that what happened to you, to us, will not happen to you. We will help you and welcome you home. And in fact, the military is even finally reaching out to some of us in the civilian sector saying, come and help us. So Kate and I and others in our organization and some other civilian-based organizations are going to military bases to provide this kind of spiritually based programming to our troops and their families to help them have a good homecoming and to begin the healing immediately upon return.
Well said, Ed. I'm very encouraged that there is hope.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I always know when I've been in an important conversation because I've been moved in a new way, I've learned something new, and I've also been given a spark of hope.
Right.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Azim. And thank you all at home for sitting in on another Global Spirit conversation. I hope that you join us again next week for another episode, and that you can carry the spirit of this conversation in your own lives, perhaps even by forgiving someone in your own life. This is Phil Cousineau. I'm your host on this ongoing search for the global spirit.
Hello, I'm John Cleese again. We do hope that this program has conveyed some new appreciation of the true power of forgiveness. Not that forgiving is easy. A recent Gallup poll found that 94% of people asked said it was important to forgive, but almost all of those, 85%, said they needed some outside help to be able to do it. So we trust that Ed, Kate, and Azim have provided some approaches and insights that are helpful. And finally, I hope that you're enjoying this unique series and that you'll be joining us again soon for another episode of Global Spirit, the first internal travel series.
Mars Attar and the Attar family, in honor of our dedicated community of volunteers and supporters, in service to the awakening of our essential humanity through education, indigenous wisdom, land stewardship, and care for future generations. Together with our partners, we direct our gifts, resources, and actions toward a more conscious, compassionate, and responsible world.